What's up, guys? So the topic for today is beta-alanine. I'm going to get right into it. So a good summary of beta-alanine is that it's been shown to increase muscular endurance in the 8 to 15 rep range. It's also been shown to improve sprinting and rowing performance, as well as to reduce subjective feelings of fatigue while you're weight training. So what this goes back to is that beta-alanine is actually a precursor for muscle carnosine. What this means is that beta-alanine forms a dipeptide with histidine to form muscle carnosine. So what does carnosine do? Basically, carnosine is released from muscle cells in response to drops in pH. So this could be from training or from diet-induced drops through like ketosis or low-carb dieting. It can offer protection from lactic acid production. And one little fun fact I learned about carnosine is that higher levels of carnosine are found in animals that are found in lower oxygenated areas. So basically like deep sea or in the very, very far depths of the ocean. So where oxygen isn't very present, that means that there's more fermentation of lactic acid, and that causes for more of a buffer to be produced, which is muscle carnosine. So you might not care at all about that, but I thought it was cool. So supplementation of beta-alanine is actually really useful for vegans and vegetarians since your meat intake is so low or non-existent. Okay, so just to get into the biochem of beta-alanine, beta-alanine is a variant of the amino acid alanine, and it's a carnosine precursor, meaning that beta-alanine is converted into the dipeptide carnosine via the ATP-GD1 enzyme. What does that mean? Not important. Anyways, but a little bit of background on this enzyme that I was talking about, ATP-GD1. So it's expressed highly in skeletal muscle and the brain, though to a lesser extent in the brain. It's also expressed in cardiac muscle, but mostly in skeletal muscle. So if everything goes back to carnosine, why don't we just supplement carnosine? There's a really good reason for that. Actually, carnosine can't enter the muscle cells very well, but its two substrates can. I didn't mention the other one before, but basically beta-alanine binds with L-histidine to form carnosine. So that begs the question, well, why don't we supplement histidine too? Actually, so to get into even more science, the rate-limiting step for the synthesis of carnosine is through beta-alanine, not histidine. So, okay, so there's a ton of science I just threw at you. I'm just going to summarize everything I said so far in one sentence. So since the ATP-GD1 enzyme is abundant in skeletal muscle cells, and since the synthesis, oh man, that is hard to say. Since the synthesis is, and because the formation of beta-alanine is the rate-limiting step in this whole chemical equation, beta-alanine supplementation is very effective at enhancing your muscle carnosine levels. So, a little more background on beta-alanine. It's synthesized in the liver and it's transported into muscle cells, stored, and that's more so in the type 2 fibers, which are your fast twitch fibers, rather than your type 1. There's only one case that histidine supplementation is actually useful in comparison to beta-alanine supplementation. That would be in the case of if you had a histidine deficiency. So, and that's very, very rare. Generally, if you have a histidine deficiency, you have a protein deficiency, which just basically means you don't get enough protein in your diet. So, to get into a little bit of the pharmacology now, beta-alanine actually has a side effect. It's a completely harmless side effect, and it's called paresthesia. Basically, this just means tingling, and this is usually occurring with larger doses, greater than 2 grams. Another piece of information is that beta-alanine goes really well with creatine monohydrate for enhanced muscular endurance. So, one thing it doesn't go well with is taurine, and that's because they actually may compete for uptake. So, taurine and beta-alanine actually use the exact same transporter into the cell. There are only so many transporters present on each cell surface, which basically means that you have beta-alanine and taurine kind of fighting it out to see which one can get into the cell more. So in a lot of pre-workouts, you actually see that you include beta-alanine and taurine in the same supplement, and that doesn't really make sense because taurine, although it does have a lot of benefits on its own, when you combine that with beta-alanine, they have this competitive inhibition, and that causes for decreased uptake of both of them. So let's see, one last thing, just on the elimination of beta-alanine. So the increase in muscle carnosine due to beta supplementation seems to persist for about 8 weeks after you stop taking that supplementation. So that's actually a really good benefit. So basically, if you're supplementing beta-alanine on a daily basis, it could take up to about 8 weeks to actually eliminate all of those benefits from the enhanced muscle carnosine, which is actually really cool. So, and then one more interaction between two compounds is that joint supplementation of beta-alanine and sodium bicarb, or bicarbonate, seems to show an additive benefit for lactic buffering capacity in muscle tissues. So, okay, so I have a lot of talking points on the physiologic effects of beta-alanine supplementation. So So its foremost role is to maintain the acid-base equilibrium in the cell, but it also functions as a neuroprotectant, which is a potential treatment for autism, an anti-aging compound, antioxidant. It's protective against glycation, and it can actually sensitize contractile muscle fibers to calcium. So there are a ton of different benefits, and if none of that made sense to you, that's okay. Just know that there are a ton of benefits for beta-alanines. So one last thing I want to say about the physiology of beta-alanine is that carnosine has been implicated to reduce the oxidative damage to lipids and proteins, so it may be beneficial for Parkinson's and Alzheimer's patients. Okay, so last question, is beta-alanine safe? Yes, it is 100% safe. Paresthesia is the only side effect, really. So paresthesia is the only side effect of beta-alanine supplementation, and that's been shown to be a completely harmless side effect. Okay, so how do we dose this? One benefit is to dose this with your creatine because they've been shown to have additive effects. As far as dosing protocols, 2 to 5 grams can be taken at one time. So generally 5 grams, you're going to have a lot of tingling, and you might not like that. Personally, I really like the tingling from beta-alanine, which is why in my supplement I dose 4 grams of beta-alanine per serving. So if you aren't a fan as much of the tingling, beta-alanine supplementation can be taken several times per day of like 0.8 to 1 gram per serving, spaced about 3 hours apart. So anyways, that's all I have to really talk about beta-alanine. I know I threw a ton of information at you, but if you really like science, then this can be some very interesting stuff. Anyways, if you guys like this video, please don't forget to subscribe and let me know how you guys think I'm doing. Let me know if there are any other videos you want to see. You can always email me, message me, DM me. I don't even know what the kids do these days. But that's all I got for you guys. So hopefully you like this video, but thanks for watching.